I want to apologize for how this audio might sound. I think it might not be one of my best because I don't have any microphone hookups. I'm in Louisiana with my family for Christmas weekend. It is Saturday, Christmas Eve. And, I was actually about to make a TikTok. And I was like, why don't I just set the phone up and, record a podcast? I haven't had much to say. Not that I've been empty, but I've been empty. Not that I've been full, but I've been full. So it's been a very confusing season. And so I was just thinking, and I was like, why don't I produce something from this? I don't feel like writing. But maybe I'll write about it. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like just talking might be better. Because I feel like sometimes that my pen might not be able to keep up with my thoughts. I can't write as fast as my thoughts move. And so I was sitting here and I started thinking of moments. I was sitting here thinking of my ex. And I remembered I had this lock. We were at Chili's. What happened? I was like, let's go somewhere. And we went to this lake. What's the name of it? Lake? I can't think of the name of it. But it's in Irving. And so we went to this lake, and it was like in the middle of like the shopping area. That's why I was trying to think of it, because it's like an obvious place in Irving. And we were walking around. It was freezing cold. It was kind of stupid. I thought it was going to be stuff to do there for some reason. But we just ended up walking. I didn't really care because, I'm one to just spend time and do something like that. There's, nothing else. But he was on his phone the whole time. We're not going to get into all of that, and didn't appreciate we wanted to go on a walk. Nevertheless, we went on this walk around Lake Caroline was the name. And, Carolyn, and there's this bridge with locks, kind of like in Paris. I believe it's Paris or England, wherever, where it's, a bridge where they put all these locks and it represents their love. And so I saw them. I was like, you want to do a lock? And at that point, he just had attitude. But I'm going to spread the story because it's irrelevant to where I'm going. But I guess maybe y'all might like the details, so I'll tell you. So we were leaving. He was so ready to go because it was cold. But I wanted to go past the locks. And I was like, let's put a lock up here. He's like, do you have one or something like that? And I was like, no. And then he got mad. He's like, I don't care about the locks. I'm like, you know what these represent? He's like, nothing. They're probably going to come and just take them off like they did. I'm like, you hater, you empty person. Well, nevertheless, we went forward and we moved on, and we got to this point. Oh, I'm sorry, my brain went somewhere else. We got to Chili's. Because, I was hungry, he was hungry. I was like, okay, we can go get food. There was a Target next to the Chili's. I was like, let me go get a lock. Because, I'm always joking, always playing. But I was for real about that. So I went to Target right before they closed. I had to use the bathroom. I got there at like 10:45 after I left Chili's. And I went to the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Then I went and grabbed the lock and made it back. First of all, he was mad because I left him in the restaurant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was literally going next door. It's okay. You knew I was going to Target, but just mad. And then I pulled out the lock, and obviously, the anger goes away when you see that it was a sweet gesture. So I pulled out the lock. He was like, really, you got a lock? And we sat there, and we wrote on this lock. Well, he wrote first our initials and an infinity sign. And I played dumb, and I was like, well, what does that mean? And he was like, you don't know? Then never mind. Something, something, something. I was like, say it. And so then eventually we went back and forth. And finally, obviously, we know what it was. And it came out. Then I wrote on my side. So I'm sitting up here and I'm just thinking as I'm going through this breakup, I've just had like a really kind of up and down day. I mean, every day is kind of up and down, if I'm being honest. I'm just really sad. And every day is really up and down. It's happy, but I have moments of sadness. And overall, every day is just sad for me right now. But I don't let that sadness overpower the entire day, but it's definitely sadness that I'm carrying each day with me. And so, anywho, oh, Jesus. I just thought I was like, if God came through, if he came through the door, I would run up and just hug him. Knowing that's not a good love, and knowing we don't need to be together, knowing it's not fulfilling, knowing it's not healthy, I would be happy. And all I heard was to run to God. This is where I should run to him. To get a love that's genuine and perfect. So I was sitting here in one of my downs, and I just remembered this lock. And I remembered the moment. And I said, why is life? I said, it's crazy how life is just full of moments where one day the moment can happen and the next day the moment will be gone. Where today we were sitting at Chili's writing forevers, about to lock something on a gate. We never went because it was late and he just wanted to go home. I was going to go. He was just mad. Take me home because he wanted to go home. But one day you could be writing forevers and the next you could not be speaking. The next you could be broken up. Wow, it's crazy. I read Ecclesiastes on the road trip here, and it's what I already know. I resonate with it so much because everything is meaningless. What is the purpose in living such a meaningful life where nothing that we gain in this world is going to be it's going to go with us when we leave here? It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how if you spend every day of your life working, nothing that you do is going to go with you when you transition from this place. Not the love, not the relationships you've established. Nothing here is going with you. So why do we live this worthless, pointless life of vanity that brings us so much pain? Then arguably, why do we have pain in things that are not eternal? In other words, why do we allow things that do not last eternity to even affect us for a moment? Yet this is the prison that we're in. A prison, not to say that there is no glory or that God did something that doesn't make sense or to cause us pain, but this is not what he designed. Because why would you create something that we operate in, but then it's pointless? God is not a pointless God. We messed it up. So now we must live this pointless life, and then in the end, we go to God. But I just say why, I guess. It blows my mind. It puts me in a space that says, I don't want temporary satisfaction, or I don't want to put myself here. It puts me in a place that says, why would I pour myself into focusing on, generating income, a substantial income? Why would I sacrifice my days building here when I can't take it with me? Ecclesiastes even goes on to say that one man builds, the other man inherits what he never even built. So you mean to tell me, it was even a message in church that what you're building building isn't for you. It's for your kids and your kids' kids. Why do I have to care about what's coming after me? Why am I going to spend my life building something for someone else? I have to take away my limited amount of time to focus on building something that not only is going to impact me in my temporary, because by the time I get it to a place of fruitfulness that does not sacrifice my time, so I can just enjoy the fruits of my labor, I'll have limited time left. Therefore, then what I've made fruitful is now not benefiting me, but it is fruit for someone else. Whether that be my child, whether that be other family, what is the purpose? What sense does it make? It doesn't make sense. Ecclesiastes goes on to conclude that it is only God, serving God, that makes sense, that makes it make sense, that living with him is what makes sense. So why do we put ourselves in situations to date or to fall in love, not knowing how it will end up? Why do we necessarily set ourselves up for failure? Why do we, when the Bible is clear that it is only serving God? Why do we have these human desires if it's not going to be eternal? Why do I desire love in a human form when it's not best all the time? Why do I desire it when I can't carry it with me when I go? Why, if it's not all that I need, why seek? If God's love is everything that we need, why reach around it and outside of it? What is the purpose? And so while I sit here carrying the weight of this breakup, I just say, what was the purpose from jump? Had I never, if I never, but I guess shoulda, woulda, coulda. Paul goes on to say that I count myself not to have apprehended, but forgetting those things which are behind me and pressing forward, focusing on what's ahead of me. But how do I focus on what's ahead and forget what's behind when there's a spiritual and carnal battle going on here, where in spirit I can forget it and move forward, but in flesh I'm still going through the trauma and the PTSD and the pain of the relationship? There's a dichotomy between the two, and I can't seem to land on a leveled ground that makes it all make sense. But that's the mystery of God, that it does not make sense. For just as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are his ways above our ways and his thoughts above our thoughts. We can't comprehend his methods. For we glory in every tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not disappoint. Now hope does not disappoint. Yet I find that I'm disappointed because the very thing that I've hoped for and hoped in did not come to pass. So does hope disappoint? When I was looking at the text and it said now hope, did it mean now as in, transitioning to the next statement? Or did it mean now speaking to a current hope, a present hope? Meaning that hope might not have worked, but now this hope will not disappoint. Yet, where is the balance that makes it all make sense? I can't seem to find it, but God. My rock. Despite how I feel, he is my rock. You see, how you feel cannot ever overpower what you know. So while I feel heartbroken, while I feel depressed, while I feel burdened, while I feel sad, while I feel necessarily empty. That's why I said I feel empty, yet I'm full. I'm not empty, I'm not full, but I'm not full, but I'm empty, because I cannot be completely empty knowing I'm filled with God, and I can't be filled with God and not acknowledge the fact that I feel empty in my humanity, because I still know that God is near to the weary and the brokenhearted. So I can't say that I feel completely alone and by myself, but I can say that I feel like I'm standing in a dark room and no way to get out of it. Yet at the same time, I'm free. I argue, take power over the mind, just pull down the thought, for we have the power to bring down every thought that acknowledges itself against the knowledge of Jesus Christ. Yet, pulling down the thought seems like a punishment to my humanity. Okay, so if I do forget that which is behind me, if I do act like there's nothing going on, and I do press forward, well, what would my therapist say about that? What would psychology say about that? Spiritually, they would probably love it. They'd probably eat you up. This will probably preach on church and Sunday to say, just forget about it. They hurt you, just get up and keep moving on. But the reality is, we're in reality. We're standing here on earth, in flesh. Those spirits, we are in flesh. And no matter how spiritual you are, you cannot escape the fact that you are in flesh. So do I not acknowledge my flesh? Do I neglect my flesh? Do I neglect my heart just to stand in spirit? Or do I try to find the dance where both parties are satisfied, where they're connected and they're in a rhythm and in a pattern, going together and not against each other? Life is full of moments, and when you get caught up in the bad, you fail to ever triumph to the good. I don't know if it said it in Ecclesiastes. I mean, Ecclesiastes goes on to say that there's a time for good, a time for bad, a time for sowing, and a time for reaping. This is paraphrasing, of course. There are times for heartbreak, and there are times for love. There are times, seasons and times, right? I don't know where I was going, but I know where I am. So I just try to figure out, okay, how do we maintain our posture in different seasons? Ecclesiastes goes on to say that wisdom is understanding the seasons and the times. So people get frustrated because they're going through a situation they seemingly can't get out of, not understanding that all they must do is humble themselves to the situation and to the season, because that's just the time. That's why God goes on to say that in due season you shall reap if you faint. Not meaning if you make it through the bad, you will get to the good, but you've got to make it through the bad. So I sit here wondering, why is life full of moments? I say before, life is not just good days. So many people say, I'm going to wait till everything is good. I'm going to wait till everything works out. I'm going to wait till it turns around. I'm going to wait till I'm making six figures. I'm going to wait till I have the house I want. I'm going to wait till I have the car I want. I'm going to wait till I can afford the designer. I'm going to wait till I get my teeth fixed. I'm going to wait till I have X amount of followers to show up and show out and be all that God has created me to be. But life is not just those good moments. You're going to miss out on life and everything that God has for you in life, waiting just for the good moments and not acknowledging and neglecting the bad. So what, are you just going to be alive but dead in the bad moments and wait to come alive again in the good moments, but you've missed all that time in between? Life is a series of moments put together. It is a roller coaster ride of highs and lows, ups and downs. Jesus was just as much living when he was in his 3 years of ministry as he was when he was dead on the cross, as he was when he rose from the grave with all power and authority. That's why it's all in the Bible, because it lets us know that it is not the good nor the bad that makes up the story, but the compilation of the good and the bad. It's the twists and the turns, the trials and the tribulations, the ups and the downs, the moments when you're at your worst and the moments when you're at your best. They all go together to make the story make sense. So no, it's not going to make sense right now, but in the end, it will make sense. The Bible goes on to say in Isaiah that even Jesus did not understand the fullness of why he had to get on the cross until after it was all over. Then finally, when it was over, he looked and saw what was produced because of it and said it was good. But it wasn't until then that he understood it. But before he got there, he was in the garden saying, Lord, I don't know if I can go further. Before he got there, he was saying, Lord, if it be your will, take this bitter cup away from me. But nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Before that happened, he was weary, he was down, he was broken hearted, he was uncomfortable and frustrated and didn't know how he would be able to move forward. He said, Lord, I feel like this is requiring a different version of me, a version that I don't even know is on the inside of me. But nevertheless, if you got me this far, you can get me further. And in fact, as I listen to what I'm saying, I'm speaking life into my own self now. in this season, I feel like I literally got to the point where I felt like I don't know how I can get any further. My 2022, the things that have happened and the stuff that I've been through, the places I've seen, I said, whoa, this was unfathomable for me. It was not in the cards for me. Lord, I just don't know if I could keep on going. Like, how many shots can I take? They go on to say that he gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, whatever it may be. I said, Lord, listen, I don't know if I'm really that strong. My bulletproof vest is starting to feel like the bullets are going through me. I don't know if I can make it any further. But you see, oftentimes we forget how far we've come. And so when Paul says, forget everything that's behind you, I would argue that he's saying forget everything that is not beneficial to your destiny nor your self-development and positivity. Meaning, why would I keep on thinking about all the bad decisions I've made, all the mistakes I've made? Why would I let them permeate my mind over and over again, knowing that it's not producing anything? I've got to forget that stuff. Forgive myself, let it go, forget it, act like it never happened, and keep moving forward. But never in the Bible do you see Paul not recounting what he's been through, recounting what he's accomplished for empowerment and strengthening, for bettering. So when you remind yourself, I've made it this far, no matter what you're going through, you could probably stir up a little bit of faith that says, I know I can make it further. And even so, it's not because of me. I want to add that in there. Realizing it wasn't me who got me this far in the first place. It wasn't me who sustained me to this point in the first place. So if it was never me keeping me, even when I do not have the capacity to keep me, I don't have to rely on me to keep me. I can rely on the keeper to keep me in the keeping. He who dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It was never me covering me. No, it was every single night that I was empty that I turned to prayer that kept me. It was every single tear that fell that called out to God to reach me right where I was and lift me high. For he said that if he be lifted up, he'll draw all into him. So it was every time that I said, Jesus, even if I didn't have the prayer, I could just say, Jesus, I lifted him up, that he lifted me up even the more. So it was never me keeping me. So why would I ever allow the idea of defeat to knock on my door? But then that's when we get into the contradiction of humanity, because as I said not too long ago, no matter how spiritual you are yet still a human. And so I'm still yet faced with the fact that I know all of these things and understand all of these things and have faith for all of these things. But at times and at moments, I yet still get low. It is not about ignoring the low moments. It is about not allowing those low moments to overpower who you are, is what came into my mind. I'm going to just say what was in my mind. Overpower who you are. If we are overcomers, this is so good. If we are overcomers, that is an action verb. I believe that's a verb. I don't know, but it's an action word, whatever it is. Overcomers. Consistent. We are not overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb, because that's done. The blood of the Lamb, we have overcome already. That's set, sealed, and done. But we are overcomers. So in order to be an overcomer, I have to consistently overcome. Or else I just overcame. That's good and that's great. I've overcame. But you'll get rusty. If you learn karate at 5 years old, or I don't want to use karate. We can do boxing. I don't know too much about karate. If you were if you started boxing at 5 years old, let's say you boxed up until you were 25, but then you stopped practicing. If you try to jump in the ring at 52, you're not going to be the same. But if you were consistent in practicing, you'll be just as good at 52 as you were at 25, because you never stopped practicing. So if we are to be overcomers, we have to consistently overcome. God does not build weak people. He builds strong soldiers. Jesus goes on to say at one point in the Bible, I can't remember, we'll see how far I can get it, but he says, how long shall I be with you? I believe it was the story of the demon-possessed boy. The disciples could not drive out the demon. He said this comes only by prayer and by fasting, but I believe he said something, oh, you of little faith. And if it's not that story, it was when he spoke to the storm and said, peace be stilled. I believe that might actually be the story, because he said, oh, you of little faith, how long shall I be with you? That was in the boat. Because Jesus does not build us up for him to stay with us. He builds us up so that he can move on and trust us to stand in our authority where we are, as he's gone forward and continues to carry out his Jesus mission as the Messiah. He's got better things to do than hold our hand for the rest of eternity. So, if you are always expecting life to be simple and always expecting life to be easy, you are a fool. And I'm speaking to myself as well. I would be a fool to sit and think that everything is going to be peaches and cream, that everything is going to work out how I want it to work out, that we're just skipping and frolicking through the land and there's nothing that has to happen. You can't pray powerful prayers and walk in great anointings without experiencing great trial, great tribulation, great pain, great suffering. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. He didn't say, go ahead and pack your Gucci bag. He didn't say, go ahead, grab your Birkin. He didn't say, put on your best shoes. No. He didn't say, go get your hair cut. He didn't say, go ahead and hop up in the Lamb. He didn't say, it's going to be gumdrops, candy canes, and rainbow. The first thing he said was, pick up your cross. That's it. That's step number one. He set the example. I've said this so long ago. You can search for it. I said the price of greatness. He set the price. Jesus would not have became the Messiah. The Holy Spirit would not have been released had he not got on that cross. In Revelations, it said that we found one. They found one that was able to pay the price, one. Jesus said, listen, that's a high price to pay, but I understand that that is what comes with greatness, so I'll do it. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have got on that cross. But I do understand in my capacity that I am going to have to give up something to get something. Robin, prove it. You got to prove it by the Bible. He who loses his life for my sake will surely find it. But he who tries to save his life will lose it. Meaning if you try to hold on to what is old, you will never have access to what is new. I want to switch that a little bit. If you try to hold on to what is old, you will never attain what is new, though you have access to it. Come on. Everybody has access to Jesus, but not everyone attains him. What's having access if you can't attain it? What's having great contacts and great connections that you can't use when you need them? You've got to let go of something to get something. Back to what we were talking about initially and specifically in the beginning. So I understand that if I am to ever, I'm gonna just flow. Y'all just I hope you're following me. If I am to ever find a love that is fulfilling, a divine love, a love that aligns with the same love I received from God, if I am ever to find my spouse, if I am ever to live happily ever after in the castle, if I am ever to attain that prize, though, yes, it may be temporary, where that's no longer the argument. If I am ever to attain that, I've got to let go of the relationship that doesn't serve me. I've got to let go of the relationship that doesn't suit me. If I want to be in healthy relationships, I got to let go of the unhealthy ones. If I want to be surrounded by people that give me healthy communication, that know how to communicate in positive ways, I've got to let go of people that are contrary to that. Someone asked me when I was on live last night, they said, how do you get rid of bad influences or something, basically bad people? I said, you've got to decide what you want. You can't say that I want a circle of friends that lift me up and we both push each other to greatness. We're able to tell each other what we're doing wrong, where we're doing it wrong, and even provide solution. We're able to, it's not just laughing and cackling and hee ha ha, but we're actually fruitful for each other. You can't say you want that, then accept anything less than that. The Bible goes on to say, do not let your words lead you to sin. You are contradicting your own confession of faith. If I say I believe that God has X, Y, and Z for me, but I accept things that are not aligning with X, Y, and Z and are beneath X, Y, and Z, I am contradicting my own faith. So faith is the evidence of things hoped for. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So if I'm hoping, I hope I can say this the way it's on the inside of me. I hope I can get it out. Now hope does not disappoint. For we glory in every tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. All of this is just to produce hope. And now hope does not disappoint. So if I am hoping for glory out of this situation, I'm hoping that I get to a place where I have nothing but good people around me. My faith is the proof for that hope. Yet I contradict my faith. Despite what I say, my actions aren't aligning. Faith without works is dead. So I have the faith, but if my works don't align, it's dead. The hope dies as well. I think I'm on it. So as I said in the beginning, when we go on to say now hope does not disappoint, yet it seems as though your now hope is disappointing, you have to examine where is your faith and do your actions align with the posture of your faith. I cannot say that I want to live a successful life. I want to live in a multi-million-dollar home. I want to live in a house on the hills. I cannot say that I want those things for me and not align my everyday life with that confession. We serve a God of miracles. The woman with the issue of blood, blind Bartimaeus. All throughout the Bible, you see miracles. Lazarus. Even, I believe it might have been Isaiah, but I believe it also might have been Jeremiah. Whichever prophet said, whichever prophet spoke to the dry bones, you see miracles on top of miracles on top of miracles. We serve a God of miracles. Yet, at the end of the day, what you want is not just going to fall into your hands that simple and that easy. It's going to take something. And I think once we rest in that understanding, but it's not so much about resting in that understanding as it is being reminded of that understanding. That's why the Bible goes on to tell us to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, a consistent process of development, of transition for better. So yes, you knew this at one point, but you've got to remind yourself to renew yourself once again. That's why it's important to continue to be in your word and to continue to study, continue to read the Bible, because just because you got this time doesn't mean you're going to get it the next time. You might get something else. The Bible is more than just a book with words on paper. It is living, it is breathing, it is moving, yet staying the same. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So he's moving, but he's staying the same. The Bible is moving. So you've got to constantly feed yourself with things that are going to renew your mind, that are going to build you up, that are going to develop you, and are going to set you up for transition. And you cannot allow the bad days to triumph over the good ones. But do not for 1 second think that the solution is ignoring the bad days. No. I said in another video, and we're closing, I said, I said it in a video, but I was speaking to this book I'm writing. And in the book, I speak to how we live under that our thoughts dictate our reality, essentially. We all might be on this earth, but we are all not living in the same reality because we all don't think the same nor perceive things the same way. I went on to say that even negative thoughts can be things that we just formulate in our own mind. And the only way to overcome these negative thoughts is to face them head on. Oftentimes we try to brush them down. I even watched a sermon one day. I'm not going to say by who, but they said in this sermon, when something comes into your mind, just brush it off. Oftentimes the brushing off doesn't work. Sometimes you've got to pull the thought to the forefront and address it. And you knock it down with the negatives. You have to weigh, I went on to say, the relevancy of the negative. Arguably, sometimes the negative might make sense just as the positive might make sense. I mean, the bad thought might be good. I mean, if this person really did do you wrong, going and doing them wrong might make sense, right? But what is the relevancy of the thought? What is going to be produced by me retaliating when God says the vengeance is his? So the moral of the story, the point that I'm getting at is to pull the thought to the forefront, to overcome it. So these negative and these heavy emotions that I've been feeling, I'm not just brushing them away. I'm pulling them up to the forefront and addressing them and overcoming them. I hope I said that. Healing is a process, but it does not have to take forever. You just got to be intentional about wanting to heal. You've got to be willing to get in the ring with your own self and your own mind. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Another translation will say self-discipline. You've got to be willing to fight against your own self. Sometimes it's not Satan. Sometimes it's not the enemy. Sometimes it's just our own mind. And you've got to bring your mind under submission. And so, if I had to title this message, I would title it The Hope of Now. Now hope does not disappoint. It doesn't. I read Job as well before. On the road trip, I read Ecclesiastes. Right before the road trip, I read the book of Job again. Job's sin was commenting on what he never understood, which essentially made him speak against God unintentionally, because he allowed his hope to perish. Job withstood. He stood firm. He said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. He lost everything tangible and things not tangible, his health. Yet he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. But despite his confession, there was a disconnect in his hope, i.e. his faith, and that very confession, which led him to the point of needing to repent. And at that point of repentance, as you know if you've read the story, if not, go ahead and read it, which at the end of the story is what sparked the match of God restoring him with more than he had lost in the beginning. Where is your hope when things don't work out? Where is your hope when things are painful? Where is your hope when you get into frustrating situations and circumstances, ones that you think that you might not even get out of? What happens to your hope? Because if you lose your hope, you lose everything. The Bible even goes on to say that if you lose hope, you lose everything. But I'm paraphrasing, and I don't remember where, but it does. I promise you. Read your whole Bible. You'll find it somewhere. Where is your hope? The only way that this breakup could really destroy me is if I truly lose hope that all things work for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Unbeknownst to me, it's working for good. We as humans are controlling. We want to know when, we want to know how. And because we live in the confines of time, we want things to happen sooner than later. But when we humble ourselves to understand that God is God and we are not, we can say, I don't know when it's going to work for my good. I don't know how it's going to work for my good. I just know it is. I said I was closing in, but I'm going to say this, then I'm done. Just like the Bible goes on to tell us that God will hide his face in anger. Does that mean he left us? No. He said, I would never leave you nor forsake you. So at the end of the story, though I hid my face in anger for a moment, it was for a moment, because I said I'd never leave you. So when we get to the end of the story, God still has not left us. We're not at the end of the story. We are at the end of a chapter. The end of something always or most times is painful. But if we shift our perspective to see that the end is really a beginning, maybe we can lessen the pain. But we're just at the end of a chapter, the beginning of another chapter. We haven't even reached the end of the story. You don't even know how it's going to play out. So why accept defeat so soon? I want to pray. I want to pray that your hope be restored. I want to pray that your hope be renewed. I want to pray that God gives you a fresh deposit of hope. The worst thing we could ever do is lose faith. One more thing, then I'm going to pray. I got into the car one day. I was sitting in the car and I had to pull over, and I was talking to God and I said, Lord, I'm done. I said, I just can't. I said, it was something specific. I've been searching for you, looking for you, and now all of this stuff is happening, blah, 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 blah. I don't really want to unpack the conversation that we had, but all of this, I said, Lord, I'm done. I can't. I just can't do this. And in the same sentence, I started crying right after I said it. I said, Lord, I ain't got nowhere to go. Once you've experienced God, it's like Lord, I'm mad, so I'm saying I'm going to leave. It's like, teenagers when they're mad. I'm leaving. I'm running away. You ain't got nowhere to go. I was like, Lord, I have nowhere to go. My faith was broken. And when you lose your faith, you lose everything, and you realize, well, I don't even have nowhere else to go. I have no choice but to hold on to my faith. If I have nothing else, I've got my faith. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray for every listener. I pray that their faith be stirred. I pray that their hope be renewed. I pray that it be transformed into a new hope, a hope that goes beyond anything they can imagine or formulate themselves. I pray that you divinely deposit this hope, oh God. Father, I pray that you open us up to receive you in every single way, shape, and form that you might show up. For your ways are not our ways, nor can we comprehend the eloquence of how you operate, oh God. So, Father, I pray that you humble us. I pray that it not be in painful ways, oh God. For whom you love us, you chasten, oh God. So I understand that the pain means love. But Lord, I pray that you humble us in a sweet way. That you press us down in a sweet way that allows us to lower every guard that we have in place. Every single, I want to call it, cemented way of thinking that keeps us viewing things from one perspective that is not yours. I pray that you give us, oh God, vision. El Rohi, the God who sees. I pray that you allow us to see more like you, oh God. That our vision be not limited to this space and this time and our position here on earth, oh God. But as we lift you higher, I pray that you will lift us higher to see things from your perspective, above every wall, above every obstacle, seeing the bigger picture, oh God. For you hold the bigger picture in your hand. So, Father, if we lose our faith and we let go of even coming close to realizing what it was for. I couldn't imagine being stuck here, oh God. So, Father, I pray that you strengthen every believer on today. I pray that you strengthen every listener on today. I pray that you increase their stamina, oh God. I pray that you give them a fresh deposit of strength. For you said that when we're weak, we're made strong simply by you. So, God, every ounce of weakness in us right now is nothing but a cry for more of you, oh God. We're just looking for you, Jesus. We're just searching for you, Jesus. We're just trying to find you where you might be, oh God. And even if we've got to walk in the dark, we might trip over a couple things, but I have faith enough to believe that we shall reap if we faint not, oh God, that we'll find you. For you said, seek and we shall find, knock and the door shall be open. So even if we've got nothing but a candlelight, if I keep moving, I believe I'll find you, oh God. I pray that you deposit a fresh hope that says, I can do all things through Christ. That means I can heal. That means I can overcome. That means I can triumph. That means I can glory in every tribulation. That means I've lost nothing. For you even went on to say that they who wait upon you shall renew their strength. We shall mount up on wings like an eagle and soar. We shall run and not be weary. We shall walk and not faint. Meaning, if we can just make it through the lows, we will get to the highs. But, oh Lord, I pray that you shift our way of thinking, not to neglect our lows, waiting for the highs, but to enjoy every moment, just as Paul did, saying, I've learned to be comfortable and happy in every season of life that I'm in. Oh God, I pray for a fresh deposit of your wisdom to help us understand the seasons and the times, oh God, to not work against them, but to work with them, oh God. Not saying that we're accepting things that we have more power than, but saying, oh God, that we humble ourselves to your will, your plan, and your way, just as Jesus said, oh God, take it away if it be in your will, oh God. No one would ask for a battle this strong. No one would ask to get on the cross, oh God, but nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Because Lord, if you have us getting on the cross, there must be some greater mission at stake. There must be some glory to be revealed in it, oh God. So I pray that you lock us 10 toes down. Let our roots be planted like a tree, oh God, steadfast and immovable, oh God, ready for battle. I firmly believe that it's already done, oh God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you for listening. You go ahead and share. If this blessed you, go ahead and share. Go ahead, go ahead, comment. I might post this on YouTube too. We'll see. But yeah, that's it. Peace out.